Queensland spirit now first.
Oh yes, welcome to the OFD podcast. I'm Sauce.
I'm Berkey.
And Walker is well and truly on. How are we, Chris?
Hello, boys. How you going?
How are ya?
We're good, mate.
Walker's on.
Very good to have you. We're just discussing how many times you probably heard that in your life. Walker's on.
I'll tell you what, if I got $1 for every time I heard it, I'd have $3. No, it's a fair bit. It's crazy, actually. Yeah, that happened, what's it now, 21, 22 years ago that happened, and I'm still here. Like, it's crazy when you think that it's been that long, like 20 years or 20-something years, over 20-something years, and I still get it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I always tell my kids about it every night before they go to bed.
So you should, mate.
Are you yelling that to your son now when he comes on the footy field?
No, I'm going to let him pave his own way. He's actually not a bad little footy player, Chase. I know where he got that from. His mum must have been a pretty good player before she got to me. So, actually, footy player, I should say that, not a player.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see Chasey boy doing his thing, young fella.
Where's he at?
He's down at Crumben. I'm actually their coach of the under-13s. It's pretty cool. I've never been a coach before, so to have that, roles and responsibilities for such a young age for those kids, they're pretty impressionable kids at 13. And I never thought, obviously, my two brothers, Ben and Shane, were really handy coaches. I never thought that I had the temperament to be a coach and to to coach all these young kids, all these different personalities. There's something like 48 kids that I coach, 48 different personalities. It's a little bit like myself. I've got 48 different personalities, but
one
Can
for
we
each.
see all of them on the potty today?
I'll tell you, I don't know if we've got enough time. You might get about 10 or 11. I can promise you 10 or 11. But, to coach those young fellas down there at the Grumman Eagles is pretty cool. And to watch their development and see their development as young kids or young men come through and, buy into what I'm coaching them. And hopefully I can pick all the strengths of all the coaches that I had through my days. Wayne and Craig and my brothers. There's been some horrible coaches that I've had too, but I won't be using their
Dish them out.
No, I'm not. I won't be mentioning names. I won't be mentioning names or clubs like South Sydney. Getting on South Sydney. Geez, they're doing well, aren't they? They weren't doing real well when I was there, but it's good to see South Sydney back.
Yeah, I think when they made the GF those years ago, everyone was sort of stoked. Sort of became like their second team a bit. Like you wanted them to do well because it's like one of the original teams.
And that's right. I mean, you look at Russell Crowe's done for that club. Like his, the marketing, just the marketing side of things, what he's done for that club. Like, you see Oprah, you see Snoop Dogg, you see all these multinational or massive international stars reaping the brand.
Seeing fucking like that Benji Madden and Nicole Richie at one in like an old game on TV, and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I know, but like that's Russell. Like I was at a game. Chris Hemsworth was sitting in his box.
Yeah.
Like I used to actually. This is back when I was dating a home and away starlet.
Kate Ritchie.
You're kidding.
I started getting the shake. I used to take him to the Roosters game. So I introduced him to a little bit of football because he's from high AFL country. So to see him there and see what Russell does, I remember. I'll tell you a story about Russell. I was playing for the Roosters. My two brothers were playing for South Sydney, and I'd left South Sydney a couple of years beforehand and went to the Roosters, the arch rivals, and Ben and Shane were at South Sydney. Ben had been retired for a year, and then Russell brought him back, or South Sydney brought him back. And I remember getting a phone call from Shane. I think it was like on a Thursday afternoon. He said, "What are you doing on Sunday?" And me living in the House of Grouse with four other Roosters players, I said to Shane, probably sitting at the 4 in hand getting pissed on probably the beach road. I said, "What do you got going on?" He said, "You got to be at Russell Crowe's place at 12:30." I said, "What for?" And he said, he just wants to have a meeting with us three boys. I said, "What about?" And he goes, "I've got no idea." And I said, "Right, well, what's the, try and find out what we're going to do." And he said, "Right, well," He said, Russell just wants to have a meeting with us. He said, we've got to be at Woolloomooloo at 12:30 for a meeting. I said, righto, perfect, I'll meet you there. So Sunday rolls around, I rock up at Woolloomooloo with Ben and Shane, and we roll into the reception of where they live, where Russell lives. Anyway, we get ushered up to I think it was the 3rd floor, and right at the end of Fingerwolf, Woolloomooloo. So there's, you got the hotel, and then you got residents right at the end. I think Frank Walker, or one of the big guys, he owned the top floor, and Russell owned the complete. There was 4 units on
the National Tiles guy.
No, not the National
Hello.
Tiles. No, I didn't hear him say hello, Frank Walker, the National Tiles. But there was a property developer, last name Walker. I can't really recall what his name was. Anyway, he lived on the top floor. Russell, and then each level had 4 units, but Russell bought the whole 4 units and converted into 1 unit for his...
Hectic.
It was unbelievable. I remember rocking up. We got out of the lift and went into the foyer bit, and there was all like Rolling Stones, guitars,
memorabilia.
Memorabilia. And then next minute we roll in, door opens, we walk into like an area where it looked like it was a big library, leather couches, awesome, like just
the whole shebang.
And we walk in, me, Ben and Shane, and in the room there's Russell, his personal assistant, Peter Holmes of Court, his personal assistant, and we sit there, we sit down, Russell sitting in his leather couch, Peter sitting in his leather couch, the 2 boys, the 2 personal assistants, they're sitting behind them, or the EAs are sitting behind them, and then in front of them there was a big leather couch for us boys to sit. Anyway, I sit, Shane sits in the middle, Ben sits on one side, and we're sitting there, and Shane opens up the line, like, thanks very much for having us, boys, like, what's to go? Anyway, Russell, in his best gladiator voice, sits down and he goes, listen, boys, thanks very much for coming in today. What we're about to talk about, there's only about 5 other people in the universe that know about it, so what we want some secrecy, or we didn't sign an NDA, but what we talk about tonight and what we discussed doesn't leave the room. Anyway, he starts off by that, and I'm sitting there and I'm signed with the Sydney Roosters, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, why am I here? And he goes, well, boys, what we're about to discuss, like I said, doesn't leave the room. He said, Peter and I are looking at buying South.
Yeah, right.
Fuck, so you were one of the first.
So he drops that on us, and I'm like, that's fucking great, Russell, but I've got a contract to Roosters.
You're actually mic up with Uncle Nick listening?
No, not at that stage. Anyway, so he goes, so, boys, what we're about to, we're going to go into depth. Why, we're buying South. Obviously, he was a South Sydney supporter, loves his rugby league. And, like, to sit in that room and hear the conversations of why they wanted to buy South was, like, blew my mind. Like, I was 25 years of age, sitting opposite Russell Crowe and Peter Holmes of Court, very successful family, thinking to myself, this is what I'm hearing right now is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like, it's epic.
Bit of history.
And he went into sort of what makes rugby league teams successful, because we've just come from the Brisbane Broncos, being coached by Wayne Bennett, had oodles of success since '88.
Yeah.
What made the clubs and even Sydney Roosters appealing to players coming off contracts? So he went through all of that, and I remember, coming through the grades, like, no one ever wanted to sign with South Sydney. Everyone wanted to sign with the Roosters. Everyone wanted to sign with the Broncos. Everyone wants to sign with Melbourne because of what the administration does for the players outside of rugby league.
Yeah, true.
And, like we went through, at the Broncos, they do everything for you except for wipe your ass. Like, that's how good they are. And that's what makes it appealing for players, what it makes appealing for, families who have a very talented kid in their family. What the club does for the family as well. Like South, I went to South, and it was only when they came back into the competition, and it wasn't run really well like it is right now under Russell. And we talked about when we're at the Broncos, we used to do training camps in Fiji, and like that. As a player from other clubs, you go, shit, they're going
to Fiji.
They're going to Fiji.
I want to do that.
I want to do that. I want to be involved in a club like that. I want to be involved with a culture like that, because when you are away for 2 weeks in Fiji, the team culture just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gels. And then that breeds success on the footy field. So we sat down, we talked about all that. We're in there for probably 3 hours with the meeting and just talking about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I, like at the start, I said, that's good that you guys are going to buy South Sydney, or you're looking at buying South Sydney. I said, but where do I fit in that? I'm with the Roosters. Like, I'm contracted.
I actually hate the Rabbitohs.
I actually signed with the Rabbitohs and walked out.
Yeah.
I walked out 2 years prior because they promised me the world and gave me an Atlas, and that's another story about me walking out of South Sydney. I gave all my money back to South Sydney. I didn't ask for a payout, which no one really knows about. But I said to Russell, I said, where do I fit in? And he goes, well, South Sydney are looked upon as, not the greatest. He said, I want to make it a family club. I want you three boys to be the face of South Sydney. Now, fast forward a couple of months, they still hadn't bought South Sydney's, but I had a decision to make because I was leaving Roosters, so I need to secure my future.
Yeah.
So I rang Russell. I said, mate, listen, I'm leaving Roosters. I'm keen to come over to South, and be the face of the new organisation. He said, well, we haven't bought the club yet, but I'll rewind back a bit from that phone call. South Sydney played Roosters 2 weeks later, right? And South hadn't beat Roosters for 10 years. And Ben kicked a field goal because he was playing for South. Kicked a field goal against the Roosters and beat the Roosters.
Yeah,
anyway, I'm sitting in the Roosters dressing sheds after the game. Russell's EA walks into the sheds, and I'm like, "What the fuck's he doing in here?"
Get out!
I'm dressed in my Roosters suit and tie, whatnot. After a loss, feeling like shit, and he goes, "Oh, Russell wants to see you in the sheds." I said, "Oh yeah, right, sweet. I'll come over. I'll see my brothers because Ben and Shane are obviously in there singing the song after, popping champagne or whatever." Anyway, I walk in, and in the middle of the dressing sheds, this is no fucking shit. In the middle of the dressing sheds, there's 4 seats in the middle. Now, this is after South had just beaten Roosters after 10 years. So, of course, there's media everywhere. I walk in, I'd walk in and see Ben when he was playing for Northern Eagles and I was playing for the Broncos. Yeah. Anyway, I walk in, Russell's sitting there, Ben and Shane are sitting there, spare seat for me. I go sit down.
In the middle?
In the middle of the sheds. In the middle of the sheds.
Yeah.
So, as soon as I walk in and Russell's there, well, fucking not me, but when Russell's there, the media are just all around.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, he goes, "Oh, listen, Chris, thank you very much for the meeting 2 weeks ago, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "I want to give you a gift as appreciation." I was like, "Yeah, righto, sweet." And in the middle of the seats, there was this big bag like this. So the EA walks in. I forget his name. I can't remember his name. I'll just call him EA. EA gives us two presents, wrapped in gold paper, one wrapped in green paper. Anyways, he goes, "Open it." I said, "I'm not opening it." Meanwhile, the camera's all over us, right? Sitting there. Media everywhere. Anyway, Shane goes, "I'll open it." So he opens up the box, and there's a bottle of Dom Perignon. I was like, "That's pretty cool." Then he opens up the next box, and I seen the crown of a Rolex.
I was going to say it.
On the top, right? I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He just bought me a Rolex. So by that time, I was like, give me my present. And I was sitting there like a kid on Christmas Day, just ripping it, media everywhere.
In your Roosters.
Just lost. The perks of losing.
And I'm like, holy shit, well, if this is what a loss does to you, I'm coming to the Roosters. I'm coming to South Sydney.
Fuck, he must have been confident to get the win there. Or Russell's just been rolling around with some Dom and 3 rolls.
So I've still got it. I'm not wearing it today, but it's a good, for me, it's a reminder of, when I do wear it, it's a reminder of, what I've done in the game, and also too the people you meet during the game. Like, we're pretty privileged as rugby league players, and I think that sometimes you forget those times and you forget those stories. But that's a story that'll I tell my kids about. Like when you're sitting at home and you're watching a Russell Crowe movie, and it's pretty cool to be able to. I'll probably get in trouble by the NRL for accepting gifts. I just fucked myself.
True.
Anyway.
PVL's coming knocking now.
I'll probably end up in jail. Actually, I've ended up in jail a couple of times. So
they know me there.
They know me there on a first name basis. They've got me thumbprints.
Walker's back. Walker's on.
But it's pretty cool. It's a it's a good reminder to be able to say to my kids, like, they're the people. Not that you get starstruck, but it's a pretty cool story. Not everyone has sort of stories like that.
People probably, or you forget because he's Aussie, he's still a pretty big deal.
He's a massive deal, and I love what he's done for the game. Having him involved in the game is, takes it to a different level. Like we see in a couple of months,
Vegas,
and I saw they launched that the other day, and I'm taking my kids over.
You're going?
I'm going over. Well, Sam, my little nephew, plays for the Roosters.
Yeah.
We'll go over there and support. I think Ben and Shane and Luke, my brothers, are going to head over too. So, these are the sort of things that, like I said, when you're playing rugby league, you get the lurks and the perks of it, and it's a friendly reminder that it's pretty cool what you do and the people you meet. But going over to Vegas, and I think that'll be unreal.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Have you got Rusty to hook you up with a box at Vegas there?
No, I think I just roll in with everyone else and just sit in the normal seats. So.
Plenty of Ariane over there.
Oh, there we go. Plug it.
There we go. Ariane vodka.
So after your career, you've got into the vodka, and we stock it here at the Caxton proudly. It's a good drop.
Jump in.
I've got it in my coffee right now. Yeah. This is the earliest I've ever been up. So
yeah, I know how good. It's actually the earliest I've been up usually, but I've been off the drink for 13 months. So this is my little baby at the moment. Ariane vodka, so you can get it all around. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Every Celebrations store, retail, stock at Star Liquors, Waymarks. Obviously, you boys, the Caxton, are great supporters, which I really appreciate.
Well, we were one of your first, weren't we?
I think you were our first.
Shit.
So I think in 2 years we sold one bottle. No. No, but Sterling, I think your family have been great supporters of. We've known each other for a very long time. I appreciate that, mate. So, you guys, I think you guys were the first.
I think we were back. I still remember it ages ago when you come in, and I was like...
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, probably to the day. And, obviously, you signed up and said, righto, Walks, I'm sick of fucking listening to you. See you getting your phone calls. Just give me a bottle or give me a case and piss off.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's not.
What's the best seller that you were telling us about? Come on, plug it. Plug it hard.
The
How long we got?
The RTDs?
So we've just launched our RTDs, so our ready to drinks, which are cans. So they're 3.5%. We're in the process now launching 7% RTDs, so a little bit more ABV. So we've got 4 flavours of Sunny Days, which is our party vodka, which is fruit tingles, must stick, grape candy, vanilla ice cream. So those flavours, and then not a seltzer. So I like the 4 flavoured RTDs.
Plenty of sugar.
There's a lot of sugar in them, like the Cruisers and your Bilsons of the world. I shouldn't give them a plug, but Sunny Days RTDs is our party vodka. And then we've got our Ariane. So this is called Ariane vodka. Ariane lychee and lime, and then we're just releasing now our Ariane pineapple and our Ariane limoncello. So,
fucking plenty of flavours, shareholders.
Perfect
Get
for
around
the silly season.
Ariane.
Plenty of flavours for silly season. We so those are flying out at the moment. They're unbelievable. Like the feedback that we've been getting from those in the last 6 weeks since we launched, or 7 weeks since we launched with the RTDs, have been phenomenal.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
And then we've got our other vodka, which is Pink Dot vodka. So these retail for around that $70 mark.
Yeah.
And then we've got our Pink Dot vodka. So that's our party vodka, and that retails for anywhere between 43 to 45. So nice and cheap and nasty.
Shit. So let's start talking about the career. We were listening to Rusty got a whole lot of credit.
Rusty got some airtime.
Could we call Rusty now? Do you have his number?
I used to.
Can we give him the bell and say, hey mate, Sauce and I want a fucking Rolex too, mate?
Well, he might. Well, I haven't got it verified. No, it's verified because I thought it might have come from Bali. I thought Russell might have been in Bali one day and went, I'll get the Walker Boys 3 fakes and I'll give it to him and act like it's real. But I did have Russell's number, but I don't have any more.
No.
I got caught prank calling him at 3 o'clock.
Did he ever offer you shares, like when that meeting happened?
No.
Like he didn't say to the Walker Boys, hey, we'll give you a fucking percent or something?
Well, I'll tell you what, if he had have, well, then I would have signed with him 100%.
Yeah. Is that like is owning a rugby league team, would that actually be profitable?
Well, I think now, maybe 10 years ago, and this is just a guesstimate. I don't think 10 years ago it would have been, but I think now with how big sport is becoming, it's becoming like we see rugby league and rugby and AFL, sign these multi-billion-dollar deals with TV rights. So, you look at Michael Jordan. He bought Charlotte Hornets and sold it for bought it for $250 million or something and sold it for 3.5. Like those sort of the numbers that are being bantered around. I think that rugby league teams, if you buy into them, the sellout is a pretty profitable one if you can get it right.
Well,
West Tigers could do with someone.
Yeah,
like
that's probably an exception.
Who did you? So I remember you played. Obviously, you played for the Bronx.
Yep.
Played for the Chooks, and then you went. Was there one in between?
Para.
Yeah, so
you played for Para. I remember you come back and played Para.
Played for Para. So basically, how my career started.
Was that with Casey Maguire?
With Casey.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I was like, because when you guys were at the Bronx, I was like, fucking surely, why can't they come back to the Bronx? And like Sean Berrigan came back and played for the Warriors or something.
He came back. We all went overseas.
To Super League,
The Super League came back. I started at the Broncos, had some wonderful years at the Broncos under Wayne, and then Harry Lassou got me down to Sydney. I chased a girl, who we were talking about before.
Kate Ritchie.
Down to
Are we not allowed to say her name?
What is that? What's it called? The Bay on Home and Away.
She's on Nova. She's the Nova. There's a story here.
Wait, can we get into it here?
No.
He's going all red in the face.
So Kate Ritchie and you said Chris were here. I heard ages ago, a long time ago, Friday, Saturday night, and she got kicked out, I think. and you walked out there and she's going, fuck you, fucking the security guards and stuff like years ago.
Just bring it up with the CCTV footage. I don't even say it.
It'd be blurry. It'd be very blurry.
They were very interesting years. I think that, you probably ask her the same question about me. She'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
They were very, very interesting years. But I left. Getting back to the question.
Sorry.
I left Brisbane, went down I signed with South Sydney. They came back into the competition in 2002 after their hiatus, and then I signed in 2003 after I just played with the Roosters as one of their marquee signings. Shane, my brother, came down with me as a package deal, and I was there for 6 months, and they'd just been brought back into the competition, so their front office was run like a
chalk pen.
It was people running around, fucking, blokes were doing 3 jobs, missing things and whatnot because they didn't have the money. Now, like I said, now with the injection of Russell and what he's done has really improved that club tenfold. So it's good to see South Sydney back, like we said. But I was there for 6 months, promised me the world, gave me an atlas. Actually, we're in a meeting, and I just broke my thumb, so I was coming back, and what's his name? Paul Langmack was the coach, and I remember we just had a loss, and Langers came into a team meeting on a Tuesday, and he said, "We're all sitting there, and he's going off his head, like if the way we're playing, there's no passion, blah 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 blah, like just sprayed us, like gave us a sprayable spray, and he said, if you don't want to be at the club, just fuck off, just leave." So I was at the back, and I looked at my brother, and I said to him, "I think this is my chance." And I put my hand up in the meeting and said, "Right, I'll have a talk to you after the meeting." Like, I was brutally honest with him. And I walked into him, and Langers and I got along really well. And I said, "Langers," I said, "Mate, this is not working out for me." I said, because I'd spoken to Shane about it for a while. I said, like my car, they were supposed to pay for my car. It got repossessed. I was sitting there, and it was sitting on the back of a tow truck because that was part of the deal.
Fuck.
And I'm like, fuck, all I want to do is play footy.
Yeah.
Plus, I was getting death threats by the South Sydney supporters.
That's weird.
It's weird, like. And I ring Wayne. I've told this story before. When my first death threat came in, I rang Wayne. I said, "Wayne, I'm getting death threats." And he said, "You don't have to worry about the people who are sending them." He said, "You got to worry about the people not sending them." I said, "That doesn't fucking help because there's 50,000 people in the grandstand, and I'm not getting 50,000 death threats, so I could be any one of those people." Anyway, I said to Shane, "Shane, I'm not happy." And then Langers said that, so I went and saw Langers and said, "Mate, listen, I know what you said in the meeting. I said, mate, I do want to leave. Like, I'm just brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
I says, this is why. And Legers was really good. He said, I can see that you're not happy. I said, mate, I'm not happy. And I said, I want to enjoy my footy again. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I said, the losses doesn't worry me. I don't care about losing. It's just the culture that we've got here. And I said,
Who were the top, other people in the team at the time?
Like Fletch, Shane, my brother.
Yeah.
There was Owen Craigie. There was all these senior players.
Fletch captain.
Fletch was captain. Yeah. Captain Courageous.
That's wild.
Fucking that idiots.
Fletch was awesome. Like, he's a good dude. So, and then I rang my manager and we got out of the meeting with Langers and we agreed that I'd part ways. And he goes, well, what's the payout? I said, well, mate, I'm on 350,000. I said, what I'll do is if I can get a deal somewhere else, you guys can keep the money that I was supposed to have for the rest of the year and then put that into juniors. I'll do something what you can do with it. Like, I don't want to. I actually don't want to shortchange you guys. So I did the honourable thing with that, but I did the dishonourable thing by not honouring my contract. But we see a lot of the contracts with players. If they're not performing, they get torn up and being thrown out by the club. For me, it was the club wasn't performing towards me, so I've torn my contract up for myself. And it's a selfish way of looking at it, but for me, it was about improving my football. And actually, if I'd have played any more years at South, the way that club was run, well, then I probably would have retired after that year at 23.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision for myself, and that was my decision. And I rang Chris Orr, my manager at the time, and I said, Ori, I want out. I said, I can't be at this club. And I've had a meeting with Langers, and he's supporting me with it. If I don't want to be there, well, then it's probably best for the club as well.
So you were 23.
23. And I gave all my money back, and then I signed with the Roosters.
Which would never happen. A 23-year-old now would never do that.
No, but like I was on 350 grand.
That's big money
yeah,
then too.
Back
20 years ago, you could buy a house for 500 grand on the water.
Yeah.
So
you went to the Chooks.
Went to the Chooks. Had 3 awesome years at the Chalks. I've got friendships for life.
Premiership?
No, I missed out. So 2003 we got beaten, and 2004 we got beaten. So I've lost 2 in a row.
Right.
Yeah, which is not obviously.
So 02 you were at the
Bronx.
Okay.
And then 03 at the start of the year at the Rooster at the Rabbits, and then left. I think it was like round 7. I left, and then I sat out 3 weeks at the Roosters, and then I played the remainder of the year with the Roosters. We got into the grand final, got beaten against Penrith. They were red hot, and then the following year we got beaten against Bulldogs, and then 05 I left, and then 06 I joined Storm. Now in 06, I was coached by Craig Bellamy at the Bronx. He was our assistant coach, and him and I got along like that. Like we got on like a house on fire, and he sacked me with about 4 or 5 games to go in 06 because I was living in Melbourne. I was away from my family. I'd never been away from my brothers because like my family and I are really, 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 really fucking close.
From Ippy?
No, Toowoomba.
We're not Ippy boys.
No, we're Toowoomba boys.
I've done my research.
Yeah,
the
reason why people think we're from Ipswich is
because they
coach.
Yeah.
And so in 06 I was breaking up with Kate, and like life outside of footy was fucked. Like I was drinking fucking copious amounts of piss.
Yeah.
And I was playing, like, I'd spent more time at Crown Casino in Melbourne than what I did at training. Like, I was, football in 06 for me was probably the worst time of my life. Living away from home, I thought I had no support down there. Just broke up with Kate after 4 or 5 years of dating her. And footy was sort of on the back burner for me. So at the end of 06, I remember I got that pissed before a game.
Wow.
That I turned up to the game pissed. And Craig said, listen, mate, fucking on the Tuesday, I didn't play. And he goes, mate, listen, I can't have you at the club. So that's where my head was at. I was in a really dark place.
Did you rock up to the game pissed and they said you're not playing?
No, I rocked up. So the day before the game, I rocked up for the training, fucking still blind.
Yeah.
And, you can't get on the piss fucking 2 days before a game.
Yeah.
And he just said, listen, mate, fuck, I can't have you. So I sort of resented him for that for years. But the older I get, the more reflection I had. Then I'm like, you know what? Bellyache was only doing the best for the team. You
Yeah.
can't have a toxic person like me hanging around.
Yeah.
Being on the piss, because football was the furthest thing from my memory. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care about much. And then I moved back to the Gold Coast. Lived with mum and dad for 6 months, 12 months. Met my now partner, my wife, Courts, and
Shout out, Courts.
Courtney.
We love ya.
Yeah, we do love you. The shit that I put her through for the last 16 years, she needs a gold medal. But I'd known Courtney since I was 15. Like, we grew up in Toowoomba together, and we got 3 amazing kids. And funny story about the Titans. See, in 3, 4, and 5, John Cartwright was my assistant coach at the Roosters.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Carty was a coach of the new franchise, the Gold Coast Titans, and I'd moved back to Gold Coast, say August in 2006, and I was thinking about retiring. Then I just had enough, and then I was living with mum and dad. Sort of got back on the straight and narrow because I was around my family and home environment and all that sort of stuff. And then I started training again, and Chris Orr, my manager, he got in touch with me. He said, "Oh, listen, I'm hearing you train. I'm back training." I said, "Yeah, mate, I've been training, looking fit again, and get my life back into order." And he goes, "Well, why don't we have a look at trying to get you the Titans?" And I said, "Mate, yeah, righto. Well, no, I initially made that call. I said, I'm back training. Why don't we try and get back into the Titans?" And he goes, he said, "I don't think Michael Searle is a big fan of yours." He said, "I know John Cartwright likes you from the days at the Roosters." Anyway, I said, "Well, fuck, what's the worst thing they can say?" And he goes, "Yeah, righto, sweet." So I'll reach out to Michael Searle, who is the CEO and the founder, and he said to Ori, "No fucking chance." That was a conversation. He said, "I'm not fucking having that liability in my club."
That is the worst they can say, and they said it.
And they said, "No fucking chance." Anyway, and I thought to myself, that's a bit rude.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thanks, fuckhead.
Yeah, I think, fuck you, Sally. Anyway, so I made the decision to just keep on training, and then Cardi sort of found out I was doing some training. He was semi-interested, and then Ori made another call to Surly. Surly goes, "No, mate, I really don't want him at the club. Like, we've got a clean image. I know that he's got a bit of a bad boy image. He'd been locked up a couple of times on the piss, and got kicked out of Origin camp, got captured and sprayed. So all my past was coming up." Anyway, so I made a decision. I was like, "Fuck it. You know what? I'm just going to rock up at Michael Searle's office." So I rocked up, got to the reception. I knew that Surly was there. And I said, "Oh, listen, it's Chris Walker." I said, "Oh, any chance I can have a meeting with Michael Searle?" Turned up unannounced. Anyway, she walks out the back, comes back. No, he's in meetings all day. There's no chance. So
that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So he told her fucking all this stories. Anyway, so what I did is I rocked up the next day. Michael Searle in. No, he's busy all day. Righto, I'll come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Come back the next day. Come back the next day. For about probably 2 weeks, I turned up every day. And he goes, "Fuck it, I might as well just have a meeting with this," because he's been real persistent. Because I was back training.
Doing that'd show that you want to fucking play.
Committed.
Yeah.
So he rocked up and he walked in, and I'd met Surly once before, and we sat down, had a big meeting, and he was coming around. I know he was coming around, but then he was still telling Ori that, "No, I don't want him." So I just kept on ringing him and kept on turning up. And he's like, "Well, fuck it, I might as well give this fucking bloke a chance." So obviously him and Cardi had a meeting, and Cardi said, "Well, listen," and looking back on it, we probably should never have done it, but he said, "Right, I will sign him on a training trial contract, and we'll put the clauses in that he can't drink, because I'm fucking terrible on the piss." So
You're not that bad.
Oh, don't bring out the CCTV footage of me being around here. But anyway, so we end up striking up a deal and got the deal done. And I went and trained. I was training the house down. Went out, scored the first try for the Gold Coast Titans, kicked the first goal. So that little moment for me is a moment that no one can ever take it back from me, that I was the first try scorer. So it's pretty special in my journey. Anyway, broke my thumb in that game. Turned out that I went out and got on the piss. Like we put it out there in the media that I was going to be off the piss, and I went to a mate's birthday party, had a few drinks, went to Melba's, and I was walking past a bloke, so like half sober, but I was out, and I knocked his drink over accidentally. Apologised. This guy woke up the next morning, sent Michael Searle. I was out injured, so I shouldn't have been drinking. But he sent Michael Searle an email saying, "How dare you?" And you recreate, like, just went to town on me. He said I was blind, rotten, drunk. So a shitstorm happened. Searle calls me in. They were going to sack me. Cardi's disappointed because I'd gone against my word. Anyway, so I went into rehab for 3 weeks after that, and I tell you what, being in rehab, fuck, that's entertaining. I realised because when I got out of rehab, Wayne rings me because I still keep in contact with Wayne. I still keep in contact with Wayne Bennett today. Like, he's a fucking legend, and he rang me and he goes, "Oh, how was it?" And I said, "Wayne, and this is serious." I said, "Mate, me being in rehab for 3 weeks has made me realise that there are a lot of people out there with a lot of problems, and I don't really have, like, I've got issues, but I don't have that much of an issue. Like, my life is actually fucking pretty good."
Bit of perspective.
It gave me perspective, and there were guys, like some of the group therapies, which I never talk about publicly. It's like some of the stories that people would tell me about their lives in the group therapy. Like, it was really entertaining for 2 hours to get in there and listen to what the issues that they had, and I was like, "Fuck that!" I don't have that. Like,
I'm playing fucking footy.
I'm playing fucking first grade. I'm 26 years of age, like 27 years of age. I should be fucking happy with where I'm at. Anyway, I was there for 3 years. I snapped my Achilles, missed the 2008 season, and then end of 2009, I had an opportunity to go over and play at Cattle and Dragons in the Super League. Went over and did that for a year. Living in France was unbelievable. Courtney was pregnant with our now twins, so I've got 3 kids. Harper, she was 2 years of age in France. And then Courtney fell pregnant over there. I was supposed to be there for 2 years, and it was really a really hard situation. Like, Courtney wanted to be home with her family, which I get. I wanted to be home with my family too, and she was pregnant the whole time we were over there. So she didn't want to come back and have newborns in a new company, a new country. So we ended up coming back, and then I played 1 year at Parramatta, and then I had an earth-moving business going as an exit strategy from football 3 years prior to me signing with Parramatta, and then it started taking off, so I retired, and now I'm in a vodka company. Actually, Nate Miles is a part of the vodka company.
Is he a
really
partner in it?
He's a partner in it. I love Nate. Like, he's a legend.
Isn't he married to a home and away bird?
He is.
Shit, that's like part of the
it's part of the footy.
Part of the criteria to get into this bloody vodka business.
But, Tess, she's awesome. Tess, she does wonders for Nate, and they're perfect together.
What's all those teams and years? What's probably your fondest memory? Like, your favourite sort of?
Well, when I was at the Sydney Roosters, I lived with 4 other footy players.
Who were they?
So, Brett Finch, Anthony Minicello, Mick Crocker, and Todd Payton.
Yeah, right.
Shit, that's a
Todd
motley
Payton,
crew.
It was
the current Cowboys coach.
And it was called the House of Grouse. And we were 24 years of age, and we were there for 12 months. And I think when we moved out, the house blew itself up.
Yeah, right.
Because if those walls could talk, and that was before camera phones too.
Yeah.
So the shenanigans in that house were wild. We had when we first moved in, because we knew the owners and the managers of all the nightclubs and the pubs in the eastern suburbs, and living in Bondi as well.
Yeah, you just
playing for the Roosters.
Roosters, yeah.
Anyway, we had a housewarming party when we first moved in, and remember Sneaky Sound System?
Yeah.
Sneaky Sound System played
at your house.
At our house, they DJ'd in our house. Anyway, we were all sitting there. And all the owners and the managers of all the clubs and the pubs, like, they donated kegs. Cruisers were big back then.
Yeah,
they donated all the piss. Anyway, we told them probably 3 weeks before, anyone that comes into your establishment that looks half decent, invite them to the party. This is when it's on. This is when it starts. This is the address. So get this. So at 8 o'clock, Sneaky Sound System bounce in. They start setting up. They start playing the tunes at 9 o'clock. Anyway, there was me and the boys and Jason Kalis. Jason Kalis. Sitting there at 9 o'clock, and we're thinking, this is going to be a fucking fizzer. No one's going to rock up. Anyway, so we're thinking, what's going on here? Like, no one's rocking up, because we said it starts early.
Yeah.
11 o'clock rolls around, there's like 4 people in there that we didn't even know, like, group rocks up. So we're thinking, oh, well, that's a start. There's going to be fucking 7 of us. That's cool. That's good. Or 10 of us. That's going to be good. By 1 o'clock, there was about fucking 400 people in there. there was about 400 people in our house.
Yeah.
Sneaky sound system are busting out tunes, fucking left, right, and centre. Because what we did is we told our next door neighbours we're having a party and it could get a bit wild.
Come over.
Come home. We had swingers lit next door.
Here we go. Keys in the bowl.
So they didn't rock on over. Mate, there were, I reckon, like through the day, there would have been 1,000. Like it was a massive house with a massive big backyard.
Yeah.
And there were just people everywhere. Like I'm talking, like it was jam packed. And then we had like a little dance floor in the thing, and there were just people going nuts.
Was this 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. when it?
No, 1 p.m. when it kicked off.
Oh, right. Okay.
No,
so it
like a day.
Started at daytime.
Okay.
It didn't finish till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Fucking hell.
And we were ushering people out, and there were still people rolling. Like it was one of the best house parties of it. Like
Project X.
it was, and the ratio was like 10 to 1. Like,
Wow.
it was wild. It was so good. And then anyway, we'd go out for the next 12 months, and we'd have people rock up that didn't even know, going, "Oh, your house party was the fucking." And even today, like people still talk about the House of Grouse. It was 12 months of debauchery. It was unbelievable.
I feel like there's a group of players now that call their house the House of Grouse.
Is it?
I swear I've heard it on like somewhere.
It's like the.
You guys have set a legacy.
We've said, and you know what? So, like a lot of the current players, you know, that I run into, a lot of them ask me about it. Like they say, "Listen, talk to me about the house." But the thing is, what we did really well. Like we partied hard, we trained hard, and we played hard.
Well, we
had to.
You won.
We got to the grand final in 2000. That was the 2000. And I remember because Toddy Payton and I were living together. And then we had to move out. Then Finchy was living with his mum and dad, and then fucking Minnie was just broke up with his missus, and then Croc moved in three weeks after we'd all moved in together. And when we signed up the house, Ricky Stewart said, "Listen, there's fucking no way this is happening." And we said, "Too late, mate. We've already paid the bond." He goes, "No." He said, "The club will pay the bond." Like we fought tooth and nail for it. And one of the stipulations were, he said, we got him around after about 2 weeks because he was fuming that we were moving in together because it was half the team.
Ricky be like, "I want to come to the party."
Yeah, I think he did. No. And so he goes, "No, boys, we're not. You guys are not doing it. Like this is half my team. You know, I know what goes on. I know what you're going to do because we were partying pretty hard anyway. Like we would. This is in 2004. We played. I think we played out of the first 15 rounds. I think we played like 12 Friday night games because we were on fire.
Yeah, getting the prime time.
We're getting prime time. So our weekend. This is what our weekend would look like. We'd go out Friday night, finish up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, roll into rehab, do our swim, massage, recovery with the team. And then as soon as we'd finish that on a Saturday lunchtime, we'd roll straight down to the Beach Road Hotel at Bondi. We'd get on the punt, we'd get on the piss. We'd finish at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Sunday morning. And then Sunday sessions, we'd roll into a Sunday session at Icebergs or Uvisi's and finish up at 12 o'clock Sunday night. So we'd be on the piss, and then we'd have training Monday morning.
Oh.
But the thing is,
You sweat it all out.
But the thing is, the guys that lived in the house, when we'd do fitness, we'd lead. Like we were the guys in the house. We were some of the fittest guys in the team, so we wouldn't shirk our responsibility.
Yeah.
And that was something that we spoke about with Ricky Stewart. We said to him, if our form starts dropping, we'll split the house up and we'll move out. We've got no drama. So we had to. Like we went into full negotiation mode with Ricky, and Ricky's, being Ricky, sat down, listened to us, and said, "Righto, well, if I can see your form or behaviour or whatever, if it starts dropping, well then you boys are done. You're out.
House of Grouse is done.
The House of Grouse is split."
Well, that's like what Wayne's like, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
kind of same. So he's massive on not. Or what did like teams in the past have had like drinking bans and stuff? Like he's like, fuck that.
No, Wayne. The best thing about Wayne, and the reason why at 140 years of age he's still coaching, is because he can relate. He relates to kids that are 18 to 35, and he can get on their level really quick. And the best thing about Wayne is Wayne treats you like an adult. He doesn't treat you like a school teacher, school kid.
He kind
relationship.
I've never met him or had a conversation with him, but he just reminds me of like a wizard, like he's just a wise old man, just a wizard. Like Dumbledore or something.
Well, he looks like it. No, but what Wayne does, and, you know, you've had footy players who have been coached by him sit on the couch. What he does, he just gives you belief, and he gives you the option to back yourself. And as a coach, if you've got a coach that allows you to go out there and express yourself and back yourself in any situation on the footy field, even off the footy field, that's the best coach to be coached by.
Yeah.
What was Mick Crocker like? Have you got some stories that you can just fire away on that loose unit?
Croc back in the day.
I'd hate to run into him in a dark alley.
He's one of the loveliest. I still like the friendships that I've got from football. He's up there with the top. He's up there with my top mates. Lives on the Gold Coast. I see him regularly, and you know when you get with Croc, he doesn't do things in halves. It's always 110%. Friendship's the same. You know, work's the same. Footy's the same. It's you do it and you do it at 110%. You give your best, and that's what he does. And he, he's one of the loosest blokes I've ever met in my life. His big thing is when he'd get on the piss, he'd just scull beers. He'd just open up his gullet, get the beer, and just open up his gullet, and it'd be gone within 4 seconds.
Yeah, right. One of them.
I remember being on the bus.
Fucking Doss does
and
that.
Then he smacks himself and punches himself in the face. I'm like, what are you doing, you fucking lunatic? You're already punch drunk anyway from playing footy the way you did. I remember back in the day. This is before the concussion.
Remember when he got kicked in the head with the footy?
Oh yeah, he got knocked out. I've seen Croc. This is before you had the head knocks. This is before what's it called?
Concussions, HIAs.
HIAs.
Yeah.
This is before HIAs. This is no shit. Croc would get knocked. I've seen him get knocked out 3 times before half time.
That's fucked.
3 times before half time. And then you know what he'd do? He'd just fucking play as hard as he could.
Yeah.
He'd make like a try-saving tackle in the second half.
And that's Croc. He does things at a full 110%.
He was just like a machine, hey?
And he's still
not big. Was he big? Like not massively.
Not massive. He was
just
like
a goer though.
He was like your Victor Radleys of the world,
Yeah.
where fucking nothing, like you're
Tough as nails.
and knew that if you looked across the field and you saw him, you go, righto, fuck, I'm in the trenches with this bloke.
Yeah.
Like, we're going.
Yeah. That'd be an awesome feeling. Like that'd be like
he wouldn't let you down.
Exactly.
Him in Origin was unreal.
They'd look around at me and go, fucking Walks is on my team. Fuck, what's he going to do today?
So how many games of Origin did you play?
Played 6.
Yeah. Memorable fucking 6 too.
Yeah, really. And then again, being on the piss, in 04, we had a Origin training camp here in Brisbane. Rules were we all got on the piss, stayed at the casino, and then we had a curfew at 1 o'clock. So, of course, when I hear curfew and you got to play by the rules, I went the other way.
Yeah.
So if they had said to me in U's reverse psychology, listen, Chris, I want you to go out after 1 o'clock, I would have been tucked up in bed.
10 a.m., 10 p.m.
I would have been in bed by 12 o'clock. I would have been made sure. But they said, Chris, do not go out after 1 o'clock. You got a curfew.
Yeah.
So me, the personality I've got, went, fuck you, I'm going out.
What time you roll in?
I actually went out, got into a fight in the valley.
Oh, no.
Got locked up, got capsicum sprayed and got locked up.
So the full
kit and
shebang.
caboodle.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. I was gonna be like, if you do that in Origin, it's kind of play on, but I don't know if you get capsicum sprayed in the valley.
I got capsicum sprayed and it was, I still remember it as clear as day. The coppers, they weren't real friendly either. They treated me like a second-rate citizen. They treated me like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And
they would have known you?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They knew me and they took me to the watch house and they fucking hit, like the video footage. I got the CCTV footage of me locked up. It's fucking hilarious. And we're living in the House of Grouse at that time. Yeah. So when I went to court, back then I got the DVD. That's how long ago it was. I got the DVD and I said, boys, roll into the kitchen, roll into the lounge room. I said, I'm going to whack this on. And I whacked it on and the boys fucking pissed themselves laughing. Yeah. It wasn't funny at the time for me.
Is this in the watch house?
No, this is of the CCTV footage of the arrest.
Of the arrest, yeah.
And I don't know where the DVD is. I lost it. I'm filthy because it was fucking hilarious. Like me, I'm just about to get into a cab. These 3 blokes come rolling past the cab, and you can see them just mouthing off at me.
Yeah, just.
So, it rolls around 30 seconds later. shows me shutting the door and then shaping up to these three blokes because I can't fight, so I don't know what I was thinking, trying to shape up to them, and then it just shows me getting absolute pumped by the coppers. Like capsicums, I reckon they would have emptied 10 canisters on.
Fuck that. How'd that feel? How's that feel?
It stings.
Yeah.
Like your eyes just like it paralyses you. And I'm up against the wall.
Goes in your nose.
Goes in your nose.
Yeah.
They sprayed it all over my body and everything. So my back was killing me.
Make
my
you
chest.
spew.
Yeah. So I'm up against the wall. Like it shows I'm fucking like not resisting, and this fuckwit copper just comes up underneath my arms and just hits me again for no fucking reason. Like like when you're surrendered, when you're done, you're done. But this fuckwit just comes up and hits me again for fucking shit.
Did they get in trouble or no? No.
Oh, my solicitor goes because they've done research on too much capsicum. Like people have died from too much capsicum.
Really?
Yeah. Fucking it's been anyway. Then they get me, and I'm like walking into the back of the paddy wagon, and then they're fucking throwing me in there. Like they pump me. Anyway, so I'm in the watch house. I roll out, and as I roll out of the watch house, the news breaks. So the news breaks and I'm locked up. So they must have rang the. So I roll out of the watch house just down the road. Mate, there's Channel 7, 9, there's ABC, there's all the cameras. There's about 30 reporters sitting out the back of the watch house. So I roll into the car, get in the car, go back to the casino. There's obviously a meeting, a crisis meeting with the managers and the coaches, and so that all happens pretty quick. I get kicked out. They say, "Listen, you're not welcome in the Origin camp." Virtually, Steve Walters gets a big black Nico, gets my name, never to play Origin again. So that was
holy shit.
He was here the other day.
Yeah, he was. I was pretty disappointed in the way Boxy handled it. Actually, if it had been Wayne Bennett being coached, because this is what Wayne Bennett does exceptionally well with his players. He treats them like if something happens off the field, he doesn't throw them under the bus. And I felt like I was thrown under the bus and didn't give me an opportunity to explain what happened. Whereas what Wayne does, he takes it behind closed doors, takes it away from the media. Where Boxy was a manager, probably didn't know how to handle it. He sort of just fucking see you later.
Who was the coach?
Michael Hagan.
That's right. Hagan, yeah.
And so what Wayne does really well is if there's a crisis with one of the players, he brings it indoors, finds out what happens, and then he doesn't make the player go out. He goes out and doesn't have a press conference. He just tells the media, when I'm ready to talk, fuck off. Like, give me time to process this. And what he does, usually by the time he processes it, which is a month, something else happens and they get on to some other player. So he's really good like that. So I rolled into, they send me on my way. I go to the Brisbane airport. By that time, the Roosters, they've already organised a press conference. So I get back and do a press conference and, roll into Sydney airport. And I think there was about 50 reporters. So they had to sneak me down the back of the airport and roll me out. And then I just rolled into a press conference that afternoon, explain what happened, but never played Origin again after that.
Fuck, you would have been gutted.
Yeah, I was gutted. I said, there's no fault of anyone but my own. Like, I take full responsibility for it. Like, but 24 years of age, you sort of,
Probably wouldn't happen these days, would it? You wouldn't just put a black line through someone, for one incident, I don't think. I don't know.
No, well, I mean, it was a pretty big deal at that time.
Yeah.
And then, so that's, I mean, I never look back at any regrets through my footy career and what could have been, but that's something that I would love to play more than 6, and I think that, if I had to behave myself, I probably could have played, any number over 12 or 18. So, but, that's a part of my journey, and I can't change that, and I don't look upon anyone or anything bitterly for it because it's ultimately my decision and my actions that got me into that trouble.
I was saying to Berkey before you come on, I said he was probably the best, like, number 14, ever, but I was going to say, what was your favourite position?
Doggy, no. You meant on the footy field.
There we go, shareholders. We told you we're going to get more personalities here.
Did you meant footy field? No, I love playing. I love the way that Wayne used to coach me. He used to coach me in the centres.
Yeah.
I'd play centre in attack, and then because I was a liability in defence because I couldn't tackle, I thought defence was the thing that went around my house. because I was a bit of a liability on the in the defensive side of things, and also too like he wanted. On a kick return, he wanted me to get back because in open play, he really liked the way that I played in open play, and I loved, when you had that situation of having, a ball come down to you and you look up and they're coming down in one line, but you can create something in that. So he used to play me attack in the centres, and then I'd jump out and swap over with like a Mick DeVere or someone who could play, centre in defence. I really enjoy playing centre, and I enjoy playing fullback. But the teams I played with, it was pretty hard to keep out Darren Lockyer at fullback. It was pretty hard to keep out Billy Slater at fullback. Pretty hard to keep out Anthony Minicello at fullback.
Fuck, there's some good fullbacks you were with.
Yeah, I played with some. Alfie Langer's the number one player that I played with. He was
so many people say that.
And this is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't. We've got this immortal situation,
we're all over
it. Like Joey Johns. I love Joey Johns. He was one of the best.
I fucking said this.
You are speaking our language on OFD.
And you asked Joey Johns, and this is not just me. It's not just me saying this, and other people saying. You asked Joey Johns who he thinks should be an immortal.
Yeah.
Alfie Langer's first cab off the rank.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is Alfie Langer, who changed the whole game when he was playing, to how good it is, and now it's gone back to this stupid fucking...
Yeah, why'd they fuck it up like this?
Like, they've gone from playing... Now they're starting to... And it's like, now they're starting to play a little bit off... Like, Penrith play really good off-the-cuff footy. Sam, my little nephew, now people are going to say, he's my nephew, and I've got to say it. But when I have a discussion with Wayne about Sam, my nephew, this is what Wayne says, and it's fucking cool that he says it. He said, Chris... He is the closest I've seen to Alfie Langer in the way that he plays than I ever have with any football player.
Yeah,
and that's coming from Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get him down to the Finns, mate?
Get him back to the fucking Bronx.
Mate,
come on, we got breaking news here.
Nick, I wouldn't do it. He loves the Roosters.
Get him back to the Bronx.
I think that he's not my son, so I can't talk for him, and I can't talk for him because he's a 21-year-old boy, young man. I know that he loves the Roosters.
Yeah.
What happened this year by him being dropped, but it also magnified and highlighted the fact that he's actually a good player because when he did come back, he was outstanding for him.
He went to a bit of shit.
He's a wonderful
player. He's not living in the house of grouse now, is he?
No, I wouldn't let him. I want to see him play more than 5 years of first grade.
Who would you out of you said Alfie, but like in terms of Origin, what was your favourite Origin game?
Debut. It was 2001. It was the game one before they knocked down Lang Park, so we had one game.
Yeah.
And Suncorp Stadium was revamped after that game. I think they knocked it down the next day. I did that.
And you killed them.
And we pumped them.
Yeah.
And in 2000... In Game 3, New South Wales beat us by 50 points, throwing hand grenades.
Fletch was doing all that bullshit.
Was that the year Alfie scored that try over his head?
Yeah.
Or was that...
That was that.
No, that was 01.
When he came back?
Yeah, that's
that was Game 3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about that.
Yeah.
So, best memory was... Sorry, best...
Right? Jesus Christ, Berkey.
I forgot I was on a potty there.
It's like we're talking at a pub. You should hear him fart. He's been dropping bombs too.
Sorry, shareholders.
That's just his breath.
Yeah. Is that what that stench is? I thought it might have been something else. No, it was game one. Obviously debut game. You can't not remember those moments, and that was probably the fondest moment I've had in rugby league, apart from debuting. You as a young kid growing up in Toowoomba, all you want to do, like we grew up without a TV in our house, so we just had to go to mates' places to watch Origin. I remember, playing for. I never got to play for my country, and that was something that I wanted to do. But playing for my state and playing for Queensland and representing the people of Queensland was the highest pinnacle. Debuting in NRL was a goal. But playing for my state was the number one thing I wanted to do, and I got to do it in 2001, Game 1. We ended up winning. Then we went to Game 2. We got beaten. Getting back to the story about Alfie Langer, Alf was playing over for Warrant, playing in the Super League, and he was doing some wonderful things. And we had a few injuries in our sevens, in our halves, and Wayne was the coach. obviously had a long-lasting and fruitful relationship with Elfie Langer, and he thought outside the box. And I remember the first day we went into camp, we'd just been beaten in New South Wales. It was game 3 back here. They changed the game back to ANZ because they were doing the renos here, or revamp here. And we were sitting in our team meeting, and Wayne was talking, and the next minute the doors flung open. And I was sitting at the back of the room, and Elfie comes walking through. And I thought to myself, what the fuck is he doing?
Is he the water boy?
You didn't know.
And no, I didn't know because Wayne didn't tell us. And I was actually thinking, because what Wayne used to do in Origin, at the start of the week, he'd bring in these guests to talk to us, and it would be, like it might be a comedian, because what at the start of the week, was fun, and then each day there was a slow build up to the game. And that's how Wayne did his camps. And I remember Elf walking in, and I'm thinking, fuck, you know what, how good's this? Because we needed the pressure taken off us because it was going to a decider. And I was thinking to myself, he's brought Elf back as entertainment. Because he was so entertaining. Like, why, Elf, when you're in a team with Elf, you thought, like, he used to bring the fun into the game and bring the enjoyment into the game. And I thought, Wayne's brought him back. Anyway, 2 seconds in, Wayne goes, righto, boys, here's Elf. And we all clapped him, and Elf walks through like he does. And he goes, listen, boys, we brought Elf back. Elf's playing. And the room went silent, and we all looked around each other thinking, fucking Wayne's taking the piss here.
Elf's like 35, isn't he?
He was 34 or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy.
And who was the halfback prior to that?
It's like Paul Green.
It's like
Greenie.
And
R.I.P.
And he's like, we're bringing Elf back. And we looked around like, whatever. And he goes, no, I'm serious. And then Wayne, like when Wayne put on that serious face, it was like, and I remember it as clear as day. And I'm thinking to myself before we went in, fuck, it's a decider, pressure, shit. But as soon as he said that, as soon as he dropped that bomb, as soon as he dropped it, I was like, this is wild.
Yeah.
This is fucking wild. And then the realisation came in, I was like, we've got this.
Yeah, the confidence you would have got from that.
The confidence, it was just, the penny dropped, he's playing, we've got this.
Yeah.
And he went out, and he fucking put on a performance.
He had a block. Like, it's fucked.
He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Scoring tries, setting up tries, and we went out and won the game.
Yeah.
And he got chaired off, and I think that was his last game in the maroon colours. And again, the conversation about an immortal, that right there sealed it for me.
100%.
It was sealed a long time ago, but fuck, he put a cherry on the top.
Yeah.
Like, he should be an immortal, and I don't know what they're thinking with their next run of immortals, but he should be at the top of the pops.
Yeah.
How were the celebrations after that game?
I think I partied for 3 days. Went out, and this is another thing. I never got to play for my country, and I went out with Wendell for 3 days afterwards.
Here we go.
And Wayne actually said to me before a game, we were playing Newcastle, and I'd obviously had a really good Origin series, scored a couple of tries and whatnot. And the selectors for Australia were looking at me to play for Australia, and Wayne, I don't know why he fucking said this, but he did before kickoff. And I was marking Matt Gidley.
Yeah.
Right, and he wanted to prove himself to keep his number 4 or whatever it is, centres, and I was playing centres. We played Newcastle down there, and Wayne said to me, he goes, listen, Chris, all you got to do is play a really solid game, and you're in the Australian team. Well, fuck.
Bit of pressure.
I think Matt Gidley set up 4 tries and scored 2 himself down my side. And I never got to play for my country. Matt Gidley was a wonderful player, and he was probably one of the hardest players. He had that flick, he had that skip palm flick, and he did that to me about 4 times.
Yeah,
I think Duke scored 4 tries on Wendell, and Wendell was blowing up. And
Dukes hated each other too.
Yeah,
Dukes
it was a rivalry.
Wendell,
it was a rivalry because they were talking about talking to their legs. There's rumour that Dukes used to talk to his legs before a game about getting them pumped up, but I don't know how true that is. But yeah, him and Wendell had that rivalry going for a number of years. It was good, healthy rivalry, and he went out and he absolutely towered me. So I never got to play for my country.
Dukes genuinely thought he was better than Wendell, didn't he? And
well, I think it was vice versa.
Yeah, I was going to say Dell's ego.
Dell, it's
talk about
fucking
egos.
Chalk and cheese though. Like Dell's
yeah, but Dukes was unreal too. Like
was he?
Yeah, he was good. He was a very like Wendell was the peak of the wingers.
Yeah.
But Dukes obviously for his personality and for him to get up at each game, if he had to liken himself to Wendell or think he was better to get himself up for the game, that floats your boat, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
So, they had some pretty healthy games against each other.
Yeah.
Was Dell your right hand man on the piss? Was he in Origin camp?
Oh mate, I had Lonnie,
Everyone was
I
your
had
right hand.
Barrow, I could have reached into any bag and grabbed out anyone.
What about Daryl?
Darryl Lockyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was your alter ego, mate?
He's the Teflon footballer, nothing sticks. He's a Teflon, that bloke. He was like, the thing is, back in those days, before our phones had cameras,
Oh, that would have been the best.
like it was like we used to do some wild things,
Yeah.
and things that you got away with that you could never. Like these kids these days, I heard stories about when my dad was playing as well in the 70s and 80s, and then the 80s was pretty wild, and then the 90s were even wilder, and then started 2000s, end of 2000s, it started to tame down because obviously everyone. In 2008 or 2009, Twitter came out. Everyone had a voice. Like before then, there was no social media, so. Before it, like when you're playing a game and you're playing in front of 30 or 40,000, they used to abuse the fuck out of you when you're playing. But as soon as the game was finished, the abuse was over. It was done. You might cop it on the way out to the car. You might run into an angry supporter after you lost. But you go home, you sit there, or you go out. Someone might say something to you when you're out. But in 2008 and 9, when Twitter started, I remember sitting at home and my phone would light up after a game, and I was at home. And people were peppering you.
You'd be in strife now.
So then I never knew. So I'd pepper them back. And like my dad said, he said, fucking never argue with a fuckwit because they bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. And I used to get beaten all the time.
That's a good line, actually.
Yeah.
Geez, I'd love to see you in today's day and age.
Did our dads played against each other or with each other?
Yeah, I think they played against each other and with each other. Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s.
I certainly got the talent.
Well, I got my talent from my mum's side. Actually, my mum's brother, he used to play for the Queensland Reds, Paul Mills. So
Yeah, right.
they're like football and sport
Runs in blood,
runs in the blood, and obviously now, Ben's young fella Sam, he's at the Roosters. Ben's second guy, young fella Jacko, he's in the Australian touch team, and then Tyson, Ben's youngest, he's 16. He's in the Roosters elite under 17s.
Yeah.
Shane's daughter, she runs for Australia,
Fucking
long
hell.
distance, and then my young fella, he's coming through with the Titans. So and then Shane's boys, they're fair footballers as well. And then my daughter, she runs. She's athletics for a school, and the other daughter plays for netball. So
Shit, Walker's on.
Family.
mate, we just love our sport.
Yeah.
Like we're a massive sport is so big in our families. Like and even when we were kids, footy and sport were our number one. Like mum and dad wanted us to be educated, and we were. And I was probably a C student, but sport was our our drive.
Your calling.
Got A's in PE.
Fucking
A pluses.
In prac I did. In theory, it was a D. So it used to bring me down to a B.
Mum's a yank. She tried to get me into baseball. I fucking wish I did, because you see that bloke, that Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, 1.1 billion or something like.
It's like 10 years, 700 million.
mil.
Like,
He plays for the Marlins.
I think he's at the
Dodgers.
Angels. He's at the Angels, but he's going to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That other guy, I know who you're talking about. It's something. I'm pretty sure it's bigger than that.
Yeah,
the
but what
Marlins
about-
guy.
But that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, we go back-
LeBron's his career is like 500 million. His whole career.
Well, you
And
look at
this bloke-
Messi. Messi turned down 1.6 billion.
For who was that
The
with?
Saudi Arabian
Saudi
team.
Arabian
Yeah.
team, and
to
then he
play for
ended up-
Inter.
Yeah, and then he signed with
Miami.
Then he signed with
Miami.
Miami, but then like the deal is he gets the jersey rights and
Profit
then
share of
profit
Apple.
share and all that sort of stuff, and then I think he has the ability to have like 30% of a new franchise coming out. So, getting back to your first question, is there money in sport and owning teams? Fucking over there.
the right
I don't know
ones, yeah.
about NRL, but
I was thinking about that, like that Shohei Ohtani thing. How fucked is it what NRL players and rugby players put their bodies through, and they're like the collisions and that, for the money that they're getting now in Australia? Like $1 million is a big contract here for 1 year, and these blokes are hitting fucking balls with sticks.
Yeah.
For $700 million.
I know, but we're having
Like-
it's like having an equivalent of car crashes each weekend.
I know what I'd rather fucking watch.
Yeah. Rugby league.
Like, absolutely.
Hey, you fall asleep.
Take me out to the fucking footy game, bro.
The bottom of the third, you're sitting there falling asleep. It's so fucking
Have
boring.
you been to a baseball game?
No, and I don't plan to.
Mate, it is like that. You get out, you go there and you go, yeah, sweet, like third, fourth inning, and you're like, okay, sick. Like, what else? What's going on? No one's hit a fucking home run. Like, they do all this shit in the game to make it, outside of the game, to make it interesting. Like, they have all the stuff up on the billboards and they do all the
Kiss cam, all that.
It's like fucking.
I love my sport. I'll watch AFL, everything. Like anything that goes, I'll watch it. Baseball is a really, really difficult one. Cricket, I love cricket. I can watch cricket.
Cricket's
but I can't watch baseball.
Yeah.
NFL
DNA,
and NBA, I'll
love
sit there,
it. Yeah.
buckle me in on the couch, and I'm watching it. You know, especially the NFL. I love the NFL. Like, those boys are fucking athletes.
Yeah,
like those. Even the big linebackers, they're fucking 160 kilos.
Yeah, they're insane.
But they move like an outside back.
Shit, yeah, they do.
They move like, and their wingspans are fucking huge. Like that, Jordan Mailana. Like, have a look at him. He's
massive.
I love the Australian boys that go over there and make it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
it
pretty
is.
cool.
Val Holmes and we won't say old mate.
Oh,
Jared.
Yeah,
Jared Hayne.
No, poor Jared.
If you this is off-field drama. If you had to name your starting 13 for off-field drama,
Todd Carney, captain. Actually, he's off the drink too, the big fella. He's about 10 or 11 months off the drink, and he's going good. I speak to him all the time about, like, the reason why I'm off. It's weird. I speak to Wayne all the time about, me being off the drink and all that sort of stuff, and he goes, "Fuck," he said. He said, You should have been off the drink 20 years ago. I said, you know what? It made me start a vodka company for me to stop drinking.
To realise.
It was
crazy.
He goes, why'd you stop? And I said, Wayne, I'd walk into my distillery and there'd be 10,000 bottles. I said, I'd grab one at 8 o'clock and start drinking it.
Yeah.
And there'd be 500,000 RTD cans. And now I just walk past them. I said, I just don't. And,
you'd feel good.
Like, for me, drinking, like you see it all the time, owning the best pub in Queensland, you're around it all the time.
Yeah.
And for me, my personality, like, I love having a drink, but it just doesn't agree with me all the time. And, like me being off the drink, it's not because I don't like drinking, it's just because I want to be off the drink. And it's, I've been over, I think about 11 and a half months now, and it's been the best thing for me.
The great man Jack Harlow, he doesn't drink. You know that? He's
a
rapper. He doesn't drink at all. And I think he is a Hennessy ambassador, but he says the same thing. He's like, I got goals and I want to do stuff, and if I drink, I can't do it. Like, he wants, I reckon it's just, if you don't want to drink, don't drink.
Yeah,
and you're killing it with your vodka and stuff, so it's proven itself.
It's been like the productivity that I've had. Like, I actually really enjoy now going to the pub with the boys and watching them drink. And I don't look down and fucking. I don't look down at people and go, "Fuck God, look at those fucking blokes acting like idiots." Because I was one of them. I was over there, maybe being the biggest fuckwit in the whole place.
Do you remember Nuss? He was your player manager, Nuss.
He fucking best ever.
He hasn't drank all year either.
Hasn't he?
Nah, he's been off the drink for the whole year, and he said he's going to have a drink on
Southern Comforts.
He drinks Bacardi. Bacardi Zeros. Yeah.
Bacardi.
He said the 1st of January he's going to have a drink.
Oh,
but
look out, Brisbane.
Same thing. He comes here, has a Coke Zero, like doesn't drink, just enjoys himself around everyone that's on the piss, and he'll shout around and like.
Yeah, I do the same thing, and it's weird now when I go to the pub with the boys. They just say there's a group of 10 of us. Like, when I was drinking, I'd know what every single one of the boys were drinking because I was in the shout. Now I go there, I have my sparkling water, and I'll drink, and I wouldn't have a clue what everyone's drinking.
Yeah.
And, like, when I was drinking, I'd always make sure I kept an eye on if they had that much left, because by the time I go to the pub, go to the bar and make sure I get around.
Oh, I do that. He doesn't know what shouting is.
He wouldn't shout if a shark bit him. Would not shout if a shark bit him.
But is this a little alley-oop you two were throwing in there to get stuck
that was a layup. That was a layup.
Holy shit.
He said walks. Halfway through, I'm going to mention about shouting.
I'm ready to get stucky. So could you actually name your starting 13? So who would be your fullback be?
Fullback would be Lockie.
Yeah.
Wingers would be Wendell. Lottie would probably be my other winger. Centres would be Steve Renouf.
The Pearl.
He loves a drink.
Yeah.
The other centre.
You?
Probably and captain.
Carney's already been dropped.
5'8" would be Todd Carney. Half would be Elf. Front rowers are pretty boring. There's no real. Brent Kite, I've had a drink with him. I chuck him in there.
Yeah. He lives around here.
Yeah, I think he's down.
He lives in. He's a Queenslander. Isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Queenslander.
Really?
I'd have to. Lock would be Brad Fittler. He was pretty loose back in the day.
Pretty.
Second row would be Mick Crocker and Luke Ricketson.
Oh.
Fletch?
And Fletcher. I'd chuck
Off the
Fletch front
bench.
row.
Oh,
Fletch can go in the front.
I'm only doing 13.
Yeah.
I'll have to struggle with the others. There's probably so much.
Rick, do you say Luke Ricketson?
Greg Bird would be in there for sure. I'd chuck him in at a hooker. He'd be playing out of position, but he doesn't mind.
He can play anywhere.
He can play anywhere. And then you probably have the front row. Definitely wouldn't be Shane Webke because he's as boring as Batman.
Oh, Webby.
That's a good side.
It's an elite side.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat. Very hard to beat.
That's a great side.
Ash Harrison, you chuck him in there too.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's loose.
I haven't heard Ash Harrison's name. He's an old Titan.
Yeah, Broncos, Titans, South Sydney. He's played Roosters.
Queensland.
Queensland.
Yeah, he was a good footy player.
Chuck Nate Miles in there too.
Yeah.
Fucking,
He can be the other fronty.
Yeah, he can be.
You
on
got
the
a
front
bench.
row.
That's your bench.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Actually, I could probably go on for days. Yeah,
Hodjo didn't make the side.
Hodjo, the other centre, and put me a coach. I'd be coach.
Fair enough.
Todd Carney captain, I'm me coach.
All right. Well,
That might be us.
That's us, I reckon.
That's us.
Mate, that was fucking great.
Well, boys,
Walker's
thanks very much for having me on.
Walker.
I've been waiting for this call, and now I got it. So I hope I delivered.
Mate, we could get you on again.
Yeah,
Walker has officially been on.
I've got a million other stories, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we can put them on the podcast.
Oh, we can.
We can do a part two.
I'd incriminate a lot of people. That was good fun, boys.
Thanks, mate.
mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Where's the Queen
Play that
Spirit
song.
now first?
Yeah, you could go all day.
There we go for days.